The president of the Chamber of Commerce, Christine Baleto, and she's joined by American music owner, Janiece Sablan. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. I just want to clarify, Castro is the president of the Guam Chamber of Commerce. I don't want to take her hardworking title from her. So shout out to Catherine, who does an absolutely fantastic job at the chamber.
I always get it wrong, Christine. Kathy, my bad. Please let me follow my sword. And thank you for that, Christine. Good morning, Janiece.
Good morning.
We're going to start.
Are you?
Good, we're doing good.
Good morning.
And we want to kind of just start with you, Janiece, and then Christine will fold you in. As the owner of American Music, just tell us, how has your journey through this pandemic as a small business owner been? You know, take us from the beginning to where you're at now.
Okay. I try to practice it in a nutshell because it feels like it's been a million years since it all started. Right. But I kind of equate it to the wild, wild west. I mean, we started out with, like everybody else, ground zero is nobody knows anything. And what do we do, right? So everybody is more focused around the safety of the community and how we can contribute to that and how, what that means for our business. And then it turned into, okay, we've got to go hunt around for this PPP, EIDL, and this kind of crazy thing that started to happen. And without a lot of guidance, the only real guidance that we were getting was from the chamber, actually. But small businesses everywhere were kind of like just, you know, it was a little crazy. That's why I call it wild, wild west. We're all trying to figure out, how do we get this money? What do we need to do? What banks do we use? What's the best bank to use? And so that did not pan out well for every small business because we were all talking to each other. Where are you going? What are you doing? And so after all that, through the financing part of things, it was kind of a waiting game and, you know, trying to figure out or get feedback from government officials, getting information from you guys, from media sources. I mean, our ear was always to the ground, just trying to figure out what our next step was. And I think that was the most frustrating part, was not really getting good communications all the way through. I know you guys were fighting to get communication from your side. There was really never a comprehensive communication strategy, I think, and that hurt us businesses, but people in general a lot. And that was kind of my biggest gripe. And I would get on Facebook every once in a while and say, where's the strategy here? How are we communicating with people to lessen, you know, the spread? I mean, as a business person, because what happens out there determines what happens to us, we were very concerned, you know, with how things were going. And so we stayed in tune with all of those things. We were happy that GITA gave out grants, but that was only for, you know, a short amount of closure. It never said this was going to be money that was going to be extended to you if we close again. So finding out that that money went to hotels was, again, kind of another, you know, salt in the wound. And so, you know, I mean, you know, we've always felt very, very concerned and sympathetic with the concerns of the entire island. But at the same time, we felt like we were the voice that was just not being heard because we kept hearing things like, oh, you greedy business people. And that was really frustrating because we are a part of the community too. We've always been giving when we can. When people had medical fundraisers, we were there. And then to hear people say, oh, you want to open your business, you guys are greedy, thinking about yourselves, that was very, very, very frustrating. And so wild, wild west, yes, we're right in the middle of that. And but, you know, we're not looking back. We're optimistic people, and we want things to be better. So that's kind of why we're participating in all of this.
So are you guys currently open, or what's the status of American Music?
Yeah, well, we've been closed a total of about 5 months. We closed initially like everybody else. And then when we were able to reopen, I mean, it was great. Everybody knows there's pool of money floating out there and everybody wants to buy the $2,000 guitar. They couldn't before this, you know what I mean? So that was wonderful. But then, you know, we were always concerned, okay, what about a second lockdown? It caused us to take some pretty drastic measures. We left our 5,000 square foot retail location and moved to a 2,500 square foot location, which was a monumental task. It took us 3 weeks to move and it cost us a lot of money to move. And we were closed again for another 3 weeks. After we opened for 1 week, we were shut down again. And so we went, I've been building our online store for a year, so we were prepared for that. We just kind of beefed that up a lot, put more of our items on. And so we were able to do curbside until we weren't able to do curbside. So you see what I'm saying? We've shifted left, right, and upside down. We've done cartwheels. I was told, no, your business can't operate. You can't do online. And I was like, okay, that's like, I'm watching people going, we're training people to not buy local and buy on Amazon. And we are doing exactly the same thing. So to be told all these different things, different messaging was, again, added to the frustration. But we are open now. We're open at 25% capacity, doing all the same protocols that we've always done. We have our shields. We only let 8 people in at a time. We're super careful. Even our staff is very careful. We know, I teach them about our family bubble and what our bubble looks like at work and how we're supposed to have break time and what not to do. So we're keenly aware of how transmission happens and how we're going to mitigate that transmission. And so we've been really responsible. I don't know what else to say about that, but we are open, and it's still been really difficult.
Well, hey, Janiece, this is Jason here. But first of all, we consider ourselves good corporate neighbors here at KUM. So, even though it's very much belated, we want to welcome you and the American music stuff. Welcome to Harmon.
Thank you.
Kind of a couple months late, but yeah. And I remember distinctly when we had you and Greg on, I believe it was the second episode of Nestor's show in full Zoom, and you guys gave a very, very honest but very sobering statement. And you said, we in the small business community, we're not just looking out for number one. We know that we're part of this microcosm of the larger Guam economy. And the first lockdown hit us really, really hard. The first wave, impacted our business in so many negative ways. Should a second wave come here, speaking frankly, there's going to be a lot of us who are not going to be able to make it out of this. And I remember that you said it so matter-of-factly, but so honestly and everything. It really took a lot of people's breath away to do that. So, how do you actually, have you received feedback on that, and how have you responded to your fellow small businesses?
Yeah. Well, yes. We've always tried to be, despite being optimistic, we've always tried to be very real. You can't really be in business without being real about data that you're getting from your own business, really. And then, of course, we talk to all kinds of small businesses around us, our friends that own businesses. And so, the sobering reality really is, even if you're doing well right now, if you've been able to open partially or do some kind of business, everybody knows fourth quarter of the year is when you're going to make money, especially in retail. And if we're either shut down still at 25% capacity, or if we go to another lockdown with numbers rising, those are the things that really make us fearful, and I really don't like using the word fear, but there is fear here because we don't know. We can hang on for as long as we can hang on. That's the reality, and then we can hang on until it no longer makes sense. We're going to, that will be determined by ultimately how much money we're able to make. And if it makes sense for us, especially as a small business run by a family, this is my husband and I, this is our livelihood. If it doesn't make sense anymore, and then we're gone, the thing that kind of kept us going, because we could have easily said, guys, this is too scary, can't do it, we're going to close up shop. But then we kept thinking, what's every musician going to do on this island? Well, we're the only full service music store. When we close, you wait, 3-4 weeks and order stuff online. And now that we're reopened, we're getting customers bringing stuff in that they did buy online that's broken. So broken necks on guitars. I got it. So you see what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, I got a string on my guitar. It's like that when you turn it, it won't tune. So I might come by and see you. It's driving me freaking crazy.
And Janiece, I am going to be one of those guys that's going to come by, because ever since Eddie Van Halen died, I'm going to pick up a strap from you guys specifically, because I want to make YouTube videos to teach the young kids about how to play Eruption and everything. So I've been wanting to do that. So I really want to see your business not just survive and not just get by and not just skate, but I want to see you guys be successful, because you guys are such a necessary part. Because again, you're not just a retail shop. You guys do repairs. You guys have done lessons for years. You guys do advocacy for music and everything. So you guys are such a central part to the music community.
The sad part is, Janiece, your story is become way too familiar. So many people have been sharing their stories about how their businesses have been on the brink, right, of closing. And so, Christine, this is kind of one of the reasons why this community rally is going to be held tomorrow. So if you could share with our viewers and listeners more about what's planned.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to comment with Janiece's story is one of many stories that we've heard from many small businesses in the community. Some have not made it. As you know, I'm a small business owner and my fruit store in Agania didn't make it. And so there's a lot of casualties out there, and it is very disheartening and actually hurtful when you hear comments that businesses are heartless, they only care about themselves, they only care about money, when in fact, I mean, many small businesses put up their house, put up everything they own to pursue their dreams. And when that business fails, you know, you've basically hurt them at the heart, you know, and you've hurt them in their livelihoods. And, you know, in addition to their personal pain, many of these businesses employ people who rely on them for their jobs. And so, you know, her story and many small business stories and many of the employees who have lost their jobs, who are struggling to feed their families, this rally was coordinated and there were requests coming in from all over to the chamber to have something to pull us together, to show our solidarity. And, you know, I've had a lot of inquiries as to whether this is a protest against the governor or a protest of, you know, the openings and closings and so forth. You know, we're trying to organize a peaceful gathering of the private sector to show that we are together, to support each other, to support the employees that, you know, more than likely will not get their jobs back, for the businesses that will not reopen, and to come together. And, you know, we understand that the governor has to make these health decisions to protect the community, but there's so much more that the legislature can do to help our small businesses. And so, you know, we're hoping that, you know, coming together sends a message for anyone that wants to join us. We'll be gathering tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. at the GPO parking lot. It starts as a motorcade, so, you know, safely in your cars, following each other, practicing social distancing. If you want to wear your mask in your car, you know, we're fine with that. It's a good example. But just, again, a safe way to come together to support each other, show our solidarity, and show our support for each other.
Christine, I do want to kind of, we did have a couple comments, and as Janiece said, there's that very real part of the conversation, the COVID part of the conversation. We have a comment here, there are 60 casualties right now and over 60 people hospitalized. And I kind of want to share this message here, which is going around from Dr. Hoa Wen of the Physicians Advisory Group. We had him on the show last week. He kind of touched on it a little bit. But this message reads, I was contacted by Dr. Wen to request if I can reach out to all of you to request your assistance. He informed me that the business sector has now moved into
Chris,
the...
so you know that message came from me. I was the one that talked to Dr. Wen.
Right. Thank you. Good. Yeah. So anyway, I sent him last night and he was like, yes, it's true. So
I'm the source of that message.
Nice.
And thank you, because I'm happy that it's circulating
it
through
went all around.
WhatsApp. Yeah. And that's the important thing that we represent and the other business organizations represent, and small businesses like Janiece. We are not in any way trying to compromise the health and safety of our people, you know. And so I'm a part of, I'm actually not really supposed to be part of the Physicians Advisory Group. I'm part of the Business Advisory Group and the advisory panel, but we do have open communication with the Physicians Advisory Group. Right. And my thing to them is, what can we do as a business community to help with protecting our community? Because if our community is sick, right, our businesses can't open. And as Janiece said, I mean, you know, there's a lot of business owners and employees that are just bracing as these numbers go up. Are we going to be shut down again? Are we going to have no income again? Am I not going to be able to pay my employees and my bills again? I mean, we're in this roller coaster ride, you know, because of this pandemic. And, you know, when Dr. Wen tells me, we need to, you know, can you help us? Can you reach out to the business community? And I tell you, I talked with a few people and I said, look, you know, just like our community, we have law-abiding citizens and we have those that don't follow the rules and that break the law. in this situation, the vast majority of businesses are doing what they're supposed to. Right. But you're gonna have some that don't comply and feel that they don't need to follow these executive orders. Do we promote that as a business organization? No, we don't. Right. You know, we're trying to get them to understand, but this is what I had been talking about all along, why I feel we need a targeted approach. We need to hold those accountable who are not complying, but the entire business community for the actions of you. We would not lock up everybody in the community for those that break the law, yet we do that in this situation with businesses. And so I sent that message to everyone. Right. I've been working with Dr. Wynn. I do want to make a clarification because he called me last night and he said, no, Christine, if they test after 5 or 7 days and they're negative, they can come back to work, but you just have to monitor for them for 7 days. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dr. Wynn, I sent this mass email. I mean, I don't know what's that message, but I sent emails, we sent email blasts through the chamber, our partner organizations. I really want to recognize them. We've got the Chinese Chamber, the Korean Chamber, the Guam Women's Chamber, Guam Hotel Restaurant and Association, Guam Contractors Association, the Guam Association of Realtors. All of these business groups are pulling together and sending the message out because we want to be part of the solution. Right. And Christine, we're asking to open for our, sorry, I'll just keep going.
I got you, but I know that some people in the audience didn't get to see the message. It went all around. But let me just finish reading this first part here because I think it's key. He informed me that the business sector has moved into the #2 spot of incidences of virus spread. It's no longer the case that someone who contracted the virus came into the workplace and then there was little to no spread. Now they are seeing alarming rates of transmission from people in the workplace. He didn't provide details of which businesses, but I'm sure all of us have seen 2 major names circulating in the WhatsApp chat. So, that being said, Christine, what kind of messaging do you guys put out for the members in terms of, because what he had said on the show last week was that people are sick, they're going to work when they're sick, and it's spreading. I mean, obviously in the workplace. So is there, how do you get that messaging out to your members that it's important to let, because it's crucial, right? I mean, we're open at 25%. Everybody who's working is essential. I mean, pretty much to these, non-essential businesses. And when one person's down, that just throws a whole kink in the operation, let alone if they test positive and then you got the contact tracing and you got to shut down. So how key is your messaging for your members on that part of it?
Well, so that's why, what I've done is not only us as a chamber, but the other business organizations, our partners, I've asked them to send that message out to reaffirm the need with all our members and their colleagues and employees to be diligent. Follow all those guidelines, make sure you wear a mask, make sure we're social distancing. One of the things that we put out there specifically that you'll see in that message is that if your employee is sick, they might be telling you they're not, but if you see they're not well, send them home. You need to be proactive in protecting your other employees and your customers by making sure that people who are, not feeling well are sent home. If it's just the flu or it's something else, you don't know that, just send them home and protect your work environment. We need to make sure that we're following all of those protocols all the way through the work hours. So one of the things that was raised was when they're going on break or when they're eating lunch, they're taking off their masks, they're smoking, they're eating together. That's exposure, so, we need for people to realize, yes, we all miss each other. My mother and father in so long, but, we keep reinforcing, even with our parents, we can't gather, we have to protect each other and we have to protect our community. And these rising cases shows what happens when we don't take that personal responsibility. Another thing that I'm asking them to put out, you're concerned about not having one employee work because they're sick. When you infect all of your employees and you have to shut down your business, you've compromised yourself even further. So it's better to allow that one person to stay home and have them out of work than to expose your entire workforce and then have everybody out of work. And so the other thing that I've asked some of the organizations, they did a really good job in the first lockdown of providing webinars and trainings on contact tracing as well as implementing the protocols. I'm asking them to redo those as a reminder. I know with the chamber that we not only open it to chamber members, but anybody in the community that wants to join, we allow them to do so. And so, I think the business organizations are a resource, so I'm hoping that people take advantage of it. And again, that businesses, business owners, business managers, supervisors, employees themselves, please follow all the guidelines. Protect yourself, protect your coworkers, protect your family, protect our community.
Christine, I wanted to follow up on something Janiece said about questioning what is the strategy. You're also a member of the governor's economic recovery panel, I believe that's what it's called. We haven't really heard from them in a while. So is that being discussed? Like, what is the strategy going forward so that businesses...
We actually, especially on this reopening, started getting, because we learned a lot from the first time. And we also have Hawaii and California and all the other jurisdictions to see what they're doing. And so we actually developed this comprehensive phase reopening plan. You guys saw a little bit of it when we were PCOR 1 and we asked for a 1.5, and we kind of figured out these phases within PCOR 1 until we moved to PCOR 2. So all of these plans and all the different industries and how they should reopen, and that led to the guidelines. And then we started rising exponentially with positive cases. The hospital has become overwhelmed, and so a couple of weeks ago, we asked, we had hoped that this last week we'd have more reopenings of businesses and an increase in the capacity. But obviously with the numbers, the governor said, she's not comfortable doing that. I haven't heard anything this week. I doubt that we're going to see anything change. And so there hasn't been discussion since 2 weeks ago, but I mean, there is a plan. It's just that plan is kind of premised on positive cases and hospitalization being under control, and that's not where we're at right now. So again, it's very concerning for the business community because we want to open, and we can't do that unless this virus is under control and the spread stops.
All right.
Okay, so what time are you guys meeting up for the rally tomorrow?
We'll meet at 8:30 at GPO. And we're gonna motorcade. I think go time is at 9 o'clock. We're encouraging everybody to come out. So please join us. Again, we're gonna do this safely. There is also a gathering afterwards in front of the legislature, again to encourage them to support the private sector, to support employees and small businesses and businesses overall within the community. And we also have our Action Pack members out there promoting our 5 initiatives that we would very much like the legislature to entertain. And so just a lot of activity tomorrow. Please come out. Please support us. We want to support you. And if you have any questions, contact the Guam Chamber, and contact me. Contact the radio station. I think you guys have it.
Before we go,
yes, Janiece, we're going to give you the last word.
Sorry, I just feel it's super important. I mean, again, we have been behind the ball. Like we are chasing positive cases. That's just how it feels. Okay, and. I mean, this is our moment in time to just stop and pivot. Like UOG is taking a break to refresh, right? I think a lot of parents want to take a break and refresh. This has been just unprecedented time. In our community, I feel like only now we're finding out a little bit about contact tracing. You guys, your interview yesterday was so awesome with the public health people, because now you're finding out a little bit more demographics, which I think we should have known a long time ago. If there is a better communication strategy, if they knew numbers were rising in certain communities, why have we not been addressing those issues ahead? Now we're moving into, we're basically still in the PCOR 1 2.0 that we've talked about, and we're still behind the game. Numbers are rising. When we knew businesses are going to reopen, why weren't we communicating specifically with businesses and saying, you're going to have break time, you're going to have lunchtime with your staff? what are you doing to mitigate any spread in your business? They're going to have smoke breaks. What do they need to know to be armed and not to do that? I mean, we can't just take it for granted that everybody knows. We have to address the issues, knowing the social and economic differences in Guam. Those issues had to be addressed ahead of the game. We just keep following behind. And, I know we can look to California or Hawaii. I mean, they're not necessarily doing very well either. So, I think, we know our people, we know how they things that they practice and things like that. If we knew that, the death toll was going to be so great for, people from the FSM, why were we addressing those issues before when we knew, oh, look at the numbers, it just disproportionately affected. So I don't want to be behind the game. I don't want to think that anybody's livelihood, let alone mine and my family's, is going to be contingent upon a lack of information to the community. So, I'm calling upon anybody who's in a decision-making position, where you're the governor, the legislature, something, have a strategic communication plan that can help everybody. And let's not wait for more deaths to happen and more positive cases in order to communicate to the people, young people going out and having parties, things like that. We should have been in front of that game, or right when we found out numbers are rising in the demographic. But because we can't get clear information about contact tracing, and I'm not talking about HIPAA regulations and all that, I'm talking about general information that we could use to determine how we move forward. We can't make proper decisions without data. So I just feel like when we can talk all we want about science and data, but if we're not using it or we're not sharing it properly, none of this actually makes sense. So sorry, I had to say that part because it's been bothering me for months.
Well, and believe me, that is something that has consistently been put out and requested. I can't tell you how many meetings we've asked for the data, because even on a reopening plan, right, it's helpful to know where these positives occurred and how we can mitigate it. But if we don't know exactly how it spread, up to now, again, even with the information I'm sharing, 2 businesses that we know of, no details, right? No how, or even, what happened. Did someone come in? We have no data. And so it is very hard to respond. So, I think we all share your frustration and we keep requesting. I'm sure even you, Chris and Bree, have asked for data, and it's been very difficult to get that.
We can't even get the list of who's on the economic, whatchamacallit.
Recovery
Yeah.
panel.
Anyway, ladies, we got to run. We got a segment we got to get to. But again, thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Janiece, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Christine, I
Appreciate your time.
I just want to tell you, I ran the other day and I was craving. I used to go to Fruits afterwards and get the. I don't know if it was the toucan or something, the tropical. Anyway.
Toucan.
Yeah.
The sherbet.
I don't know if you have any leftover stock you want to shoot over. Let me know.
And Christine, I love those pretzels, right?
Yes, you're the only, Jason's the only one on Guam that likes the pretzels with his sandwiches and wraps. So I bought a whole case for him, and then now, we can't give him any more pretzels.
And I will eternally be in your debt and everything like that. You're an ultimate sweetheart for doing that. Thank you so much.
All right, hey. Okay, ladies, thank you.
Guys.
All right, take care.
Wash your hands.
Take care.
That's
Bye-bye.
Adios. 7:56. We'll move on now to our sponsor.